The Clippers just pulled off the biggest misdirection in the NBA. While the world watches their aging roster chase one last playoff run, something far more dangerous is happening behind the scenes. They're not just trying to win now, they're quietly setting the stage for the biggest free agency heist of the decade. Because in the summer of 2027, a once-in-a-generation superstar could hit the market, and the Clippers are making sure they'll be ready. His name? Giannis Antetokounmpo. And if you think this is just another wild rumor, wait until you see what they've been planning for years. At first glance, the Clippers look like a franchise clinging to the past. Kawhi Leonard, once the most feared two-way force in basketball, now misses more games than he plays. James Harden, a former MVP, has reinvented himself, but his best years are behind him. Chris Paul is 40. Even their youngest starter, Ivica Zubac, is already 28. To casual fans, this looks like a team desperately trying to squeeze one last run out of an expired core. But that sips the trick. Because while everyone focuses on the names on the floor, nobody's paying attention to the numbers on the books. And the numbers tell a completely different story. Starting in 2027, almost every major contract on the Clippers' payroll vanishes. Kawhi's deal, expiring. Harden's, gone. Chris Paul, off the books. Beal, already bought out. By the time the 2027 offseason arrives, the Clippers will be staring at one of the cleanest cap sheets in the NBA. Only one name is guaranteed to remain: Ivica Zubac. That's it. This isn't accidental. This is a financial blueprint disguised as a title chase. They've built a short-term squad with long-term flexibility, and it's all pointing toward one summer, 2027. That's when Giannis Antetokounmpo's player option hits. And if he doesn't pick it up, he becomes an unrestricted free agent. That's the billion-dollar window the Clippers are preparing for. Because what better way to sell a superstar than by saying, "Come to LA, you'll be the centerpiece. We have a new arena, max cap space, and a clean canvas. No aging co-stars to compete with, no bloated contracts, just Giannis, a big market, and the chance to build something new from scratch." The Clippers aren't betting on the players they have now. They're betting on a future nobody's looking at yet. And every quiet move they've made, every short-term contract, every buyout, every expiring deal has been one step closer to making that future real. Giannis Antetokounmpo isn't just another superstar. He's a global brand, a two-time MVP, an NBA champion, and one of the few players in the league who can single-handedly change a franchise's destiny. But here's the thing. For all his success, Giannis has never fully felt like a lock to stay in Milwaukee forever. His loyalty runs deep, but so does his hunger. He's made it clear in the past, if there's a better situation to win a championship, I'll consider it. And in today's NBA, that's not just a warning shot, it's a countdown. Right now, Giannis is still under contract. But the key date, the one the Clippers are staring at, is the summer of 2027. That's when his player option hits. And for the first time since entering his prime, he'll be able to choose a new chapter without restriction. No trades, no negotiations. Just freedom. The Bucks are doing everything they can to keep him happy. They've brought in Damian Lillard. They hired Doc Rivers. They're building around him again. But the cracks are visible. Milwaukee's core is aging. Their depth is thinning. And their window, it's closing fast. If Giannis senses that the Bucks can no longer carry him to another title, the pitch from the Clippers becomes dangerous. Come to Los Angeles. Be the face of a billion-dollar franchise. Start fresh. No baggage. No fading stars, no small market pressure, just you, your prime, and the city of stars. Giannis doesn't chase drama. He doesn't make headlines like some other superstars, but that's exactly why this move would hit harder. If he leaves, it won't be loud. It'll be calculated, quiet, professional, and devastating. The Clippers are betting that when that moment comes, they'll be the ones holding the golden key. NBA front offices love to talk about flexibility, but most teams say it while handing out bloated contracts and praying for buyouts later. The Clippers, they've actually done it. Let Setbits break it down. By the summer of 2027, the Clippers are projected to have almost zero long-term salary commitments. Kawhi Leonard's contract ends. James Harden's deal expires. Chris Paul will likely retire. Bradley Beal was already waived and stretched. Even younger contributors like Norman Powell and Terrence Mann are either off the books or on team options. What's left? Just one fully guaranteed deal, Ivica Zubac, making under $12 million. That SIP's not a rebuild. That SIP's a setup. A setup for a max contract, maybe even two. A setup for a franchise reset built around a single name, Giannis. And when you look at the numbers, it's impossible to chalk this up to luck or coincidence. The timing is too perfect. The expirings are too clean. This is cap strategy at its most lethal. Because to sign someone like Giannis outright, you need more than just money. You need a pitch with no friction, no overlapping egos, no salary dumping chaos, no headaches, just cap space, infrastructure, and control. The Clippers already have the arena, Intuit Dome, opening with state-of-the-art tech and luxury appeal. They'll have the money, and most importantly, they'll have no one standing in Giannis's way. That's the kind of offer you don't have to sell. You just slide the paper across the table and wait. Most NBA teams are either rebuilding or contending. The Clippers, they're doing both. It's a bold trick, one that rarely works. But if they pull it off, it might change how front offices approach superstar windows forever. On the surface, the Clippers are all in for now. They've loaded up with vets, Kawhi, Harden, CP3, even a flyer on Beal. They've got championship experience, playoff scars, and enough name recognition to keep fans engaged. But under the surface, they're not actually tied to any of it long term. This is what makes their strategy so dangerous. They're pretending to push all their chips in without actually locking themselves in. Compare it to what the Warriors once did with Steph Curry. They had a two-timeline plan, competing with their dynasty core while developing young talent in the background. The Clippers are doing the reverse, stacking veterans on short-term deals while keeping their future cap space wide open. Think about it. They're not developing prospects. They're not hoarding picks. They're not planning for the lottery. They're betting that they can compete today and completely retool tomorrow without tearing anything down. And if they come up short this season or next, no problem. They don't need to blow it up. It's already built to collapse gently. That sips the trick, win now, clean slate later. And when that slate is clear in 2027, they're hoping Giannis picks up the pen. This isn't just fan fiction or Reddit theory. Some of the most plugged-in voices in the NBA world are already sounding the alarm. Bill Simmons, the guy who called LeBron to Miami before it happened, openly said on his podcast that the Clippers are playing a short-term, long-term game. His exact words, "Short-term, let Sips try to win. Long-term, Giannis." Zach Lowe, one of the most respected analysts in basketball, hinted at the same thing, that LA isn't just stockpiling veterans. They're clearing the path, quietly, intentionally, with a very specific target in mind. And it sips not just media. Sources inside the league have started to notice a pattern. The Clippers aren't signing long-term deals. They're not taking on future salary. They're not chasing draft picks. That's not what rebuilding teams do. That's what waiting predators do. Everything points to 2027, and everything points to Giannis. Even the Bucks feel it. That's why they brought in Damian Lillard. That's why they rushed to hire Doc Rivers. Milwaukee isn't just building for titles, they're building to keep Giannis from looking elsewhere. Because once a player like him starts scanning the horizon, you only get one shot to stop him. And right now, LA's already laying out the red carpet. No press release, no tampering, just quiet positioning and patience. Milwaukee has every reason to panic, and they know it. Giannis isn't the kind of player who makes threats, but when he speaks, the front office listens. And last year, he made it loud and clear. If there's a better chance to win somewhere else, I'll go. That wasn't a bluff. It was a deadline. The Bucks responded the only way they could by going all in. They traded for Damian Lillard, sacrificing defense and chemistry for offensive firepower. They gave Doc Rivers the clipboard, hoping his experience could stabilize a fractured locker room. They doubled down on the present, but at the cost of the future. And here's the problem. Even with Dame, the Bucks still don't look unbeatable. Their defense took a step back, their bench got thinner, and their margin for error, it's razor thin. If they flame out again in the playoffs, that ticking clock in Giannis's head gets louder. That sips where the Clippers come in. While Milwaukee scrambles to hold the house together, Louisiana is quietly building the mansion next door, one designed just for Giannis. No over-the-hill co-stars, no small market limits, no desperate trades, just cap space, a brand new arena, and the keys to a franchise hungry for a new face. Giannis has already won a title in Milwaukee. He gave them everything, but legacy-driven stars don't settle for one ring. They chase immortality. And if he starts believing that the Bucks have peaked, the Clippers become more than an option, they become the escape plan. As perfect as this setup looks, The Clippers are walking a razor's edge because one wrong move and the whole plan falls apart. The biggest threat? Giannis could sign an extension with the Bucks. If Milwaukee gets back on track, if Dame and Giannis click, if Doc pulls the right strings, if they make another finals run, it's over. Giannis stays, no free agency, no pitch meetings, no LA dreams. The Clippers would be stuck holding an empty roster with no superstar and no clear backup plan. But that SIP's not the only risk. There's also the danger of self-sabotage. If the Clippers panic, if they miss the playoffs, if their front office gets impatient, if they start handing out long-term deals to stay competitive, they could ruin their own cap space before 2027 even arrives. One bad trade, one emotional overpay, one desperate move to save face, and poof, there goes the clean slate. And then there's the wild card no one can control, Giannis himself. He's unpredictable, quiet, calculated. He doesn't leak stories. He doesn't chase headlines. He could be planning something completely different, and no one would know until it's done. That SIP's the gamble the Clippers are making. They're betting the future of their franchise on timing, patience, and silence. No guarantees, no insurance, just a long, quiet wait for the one player who could make it all worth it. In a league obsessed with now, the smartest teams are thinking 5 years ahead. The Clippers know they're not winning the headlines today. They're not the flashiest team. They're not the youngest. They're not the healthiest. But none of that matters because their real play isn't about this season. It's SIP's about 2027. While fans argue about rotations and playoff seeding, the Clippers are quietly building a future only a few insiders have noticed. They're moving like a shadow, strategic, silent, and slow. No leaks, no drama, just patience. They're not trying to trade for Giannis, they're trying to be ready when he walks away. Because when a superstar like him finally looks up and asks, "What's next?" you only get one shot to answer. And when that moment comes, the Clippers won't need to sell him on anything. They'll just hand him a blank canvas and let him paint the future.